Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic that I've also been wanting to do for a little bit of time, since it's still a very much uh, dynamic problem that is still going on and will be continually going on even more. And that is the, excuse me, the utilization of the N word by others. But the topic of the show is called The Three Overall Reasons the N Word is Used by Others. The three overall reasons the N Word is used by others. One of the most heinous, hatred filled words that has ever been created within a country against the African ancestors, Native blacks, and our other name, the American blacks. The sellouts be gone. Because what other culture or cultures that are shown so much racial based hatred for so many amount of generations continuously with no break in a historical time frame. And so then there's no such thing as any other race or culture, ethnicity, alternative lifestyle category, combination, doesn't matter. There is no comparison of the hatred that is put upon the American blacks within the country. And supremacists know that. See, and that's what makes supremacy the most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed within the country. And supremacists know this, right? They know this already. See, the thing about it is that supremacy is supreme because they're like, well, stop them from doing black pain to the American blacks in so many different instances, right? And they know that's not going to be stopped in the overall way, and they understand that. Just like this topic of today, right? The three overall reasons the N word is used by others, right? Now let's look at the definition of the N word. The definition of the N word: offensive, basically used as an insulting and contemptuous term for a black person. Let me repeat this. The definition or a definition of the N word: offensive, used as an insulting and contemptuous term for a black person. Where did that say anything about another culture, a race, ethnicity, alternative lifestyle category, combination of those entities? What does it say anything about that person was an immigrant, border breaking, uh, illegal immigration personnel? Where did it say that at? Obviously nowhere. But how many people continuously use that word, that heinous based word? How many? How many? So let's go into uh, the top three overall reasons the N word is still being used by others. Now, again, this logical analysis going in so many different directions, not just three. I'm just giving you my uh, top three overall. They can go in subsections and can go in on and on within those lists of other reasons as well. But one of the top reasons is people use the word and say, well, well, black folks use it. And then somebody says, what black folks? Which black folks are you talking about? Which black folks? Which black folks use it? And you know how many people don't really can answer that question. So they say black folks in general, make a very extreme generalization. Well, black folks use it. Now, do you think if an American black man or woman went to another country, island, continent, and the thing about it is, within the country, the U.S. makes only a very small percentage of the whole landmass on the whole globe. It's not like a few percentage points of the whole globe landmass, an extremely small population in comparison. I think it's 300 plus something million in compared to what several billions of people on this globe, which is a different topic in itself. How people try to limit American black thought pattern globally and just keep tolerating the nonsense. But could American black go to another continent, an island, another country, break border immigration laws, policy, however it goes, and so the American black man, black woman is another place, and say they have their own type of ethnicities, internal hatred that other people have that's not really talked about enough on that internal island hatred among different other people that's not talked about, etc. Even from a continent perspective, even from the great ancient continent of Acabalon, which is a different topic in itself. That people seem to think because someone say is in the northeast part of ancient Acabalon that they're going to think the same way as someone in the southern part of ancient Acabalon or Africa. That numbers of personnel within certain parts of the south part of the continent of Acabalon is going to act the same way as someone in the northwest part of the ancient continent. Of course, that's not going to happen, but that's a different topic. But people play these little games, just like in certain parts of the Caribbean. People keep thinking, some reason, because it's not shown in general, that, oh, well, if I'm from that particular island, well, we all have intra-island love, which of course not. Or even various parts of Asia who know who they are as well. That people still have some strife about being conquered in certain types of wars and conflicts, right? This is a different topic, but those kind of things are still not really talked about, right? So the American black man goes to one of those kind of places and say, for instance, just say in some situation, and a bad word is called, chapa, right? Through another ethnicity, but the person, he said, wait a minute, they look just like another person. Well, they had their own type of, they fall under a nationality, but they have their own type of cultural traditions and likes and dislikes and beliefs and things like that. And say American black man or black woman and say, hey man, what's up, Chapak? In this other culture, another continent, island. He say, hey man, I'm using that word. What do you mean? Why not? Why can't I use that word? Or certain parts of Europe, don't make no difference. However it goes, people keep thinking there's some kind of intra-continental Europe love for one another, as if there is no strife going on in certain parts of Europe, as if there are some open hands to one another. Supremacists knows better than that. So you for one country in Europe, and say you hear another country, and they're calling some of their people within their country, chicapa, right? Chimini. and you call somebody from another European country Chimini and they have a different type of ethnicity within this certain country, and an American black man goes saying the same thing, a black woman, they say, hey, don't say that. You say, why not, man? It's an innocent word. It's the big thing. The American black man, black woman knows better than that, right? They know better than that. But within the country of the U.S., that so many different cultures that how many because of and benefiting, should I say, of black pain that so many black forefathers and foremothers have had to go through, and even present generation are going through. But especially on the backbones of the American black man, black woman's forefathers and foremothers. And you got people that have the nerve to arrive within the U.S. and the ones who do use the word N-word as if they can say it. And then you got people within the predominant-based culture acting as if they know who I'm talking about. They know who they are. And denial is irrelevant. I'm going to show you something in a little bit. So the thing about it is that excuse of the first one is they use it. Well, who are you talking about? Well, black folks use it. So again, I just gave him a reason. It's illogical to use that nonsensical, illogical, just plain silly, ignorant type of excuse that none of the personnel will use to sit there and justify that they want to be able to use the N-word. Isn't that the most nonsense? They say because some numbers of American black males and women, some use the word, then some others feel like that they can use the word. Isn't that the most nonsensical stuff you can almost hear? I recall, I mean, this is some time ago. But I was out taking care of some errands and things like that. And I heard, there's a few American black youth, they were talking among each other. And I was just kind of passing by them, and some of them were using the N-word. And I said, excuse me, young black males, can I ask you a question? They was like, yes. I said, I just want to know, I've heard some of you use the N-word. Might I ask, what makes, the ones that's using that word, what makes you want to use that word? And I already knew what the answer was going to be overall. And the ones who was using it is like, well, I don't know. I said, you don't know why you're using that word? No, I don't. I said, well, if you don't know why you're using that heinous-based word by others who create that word as a not term of endearment, but a term of hatred and black pain toward American blacks, then it's not a good thing to use that word. So that's one of the first reasons to use that others use that. Say, well, because black folks using it. Well, the second reason that some personnel try to use an excuse about, using the N-word, especially by others, is when you had numbers of personnel within the predominant-based culture who use that words, who use that disgusting and heinous-based N-word. And there are some ones who know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about some of the ones in predominant-based culture who do not use that word. We're not talking about them, so I'm not going to play that little silly nonsensical deflection tactic. That person can jump into a lava lake of fire playing that kind of game with me. But I want to sit there and show something on that when numbers of personnel within predominant-based culture use that word. And, because some of them want to go back into the days of enslavement for the American black person. They wish they can go right back to that time frame as some of their forefathers and foremothers and foregrandmothers and forefathers have done. They want to go back to the time when numbers of American blacks had to walk off that cement sidewalk and not look directly into certain people within the predominant-based culture's eyes. Numbers didn't want to go back to that type of time frame. But let me sit there and just show you something.
This is News for Nashville.
I called him the N-word. I ain't gonna lie. An elected official in Sumner County admits to calling his next-door neighbors a racial slur on camera. And now his biracial neighbor says he should step down from office.
Our chief investigative reporter Jeremy Finley obtained this video. And Jeremy, you got this video even though the city won't release it.
Well, that's right. So a source provided it to us. Then we tracked down the alderman's next-door neighbor. She claims she heard the alderman call her and her husband the N-word following a dispute over her dogs. But she says she's astonished the alderman actually admitted it on camera.
So I tried to chill and just, gather myself.
That's Portland Alderman Thomas Dillard on body camera video. Police are here because of his ongoing dispute with next-door neighbors Kelly Campos and her husband. Campos says she remembers what Dillard called them before police arrived.
He was like, y'all, the N-words, called us N-words twice.
Campos says she was so disturbed, she wondered if she'd heard the alderman correctly.
I was like, did he really just say that?
You know what? I have to play that again because see, many times people look at stuff, they just go right on past and they go about their business. But I want to play this as again timepiece purpose. Now this is an official, right? That's supposed to be taking care of the constituents, and this person, not talking about the person themselves, but their actions shown that racial hatred, terrorism. Not the person themselves. That's not me saying it. I'm sitting there showing you what it is relayed, what that person relayed. Let me show this again because this kind of things needs to be shown even more.
This is News for Nashville.
I called him the N-word. I ain't gonna lie.
An elected official in Sumner County admits to calling his next-door neighbors a racial slur on camera. And now his biracial neighbor says he should step down from office.
Our chief investigative reporter Jeremy Finley obtained this video. And Jeremy, you got this video even though the city won't release it.
Well, that's right. So a source provided it to us. Then we tracked down the alderman's next-door neighbor. She claims she heard the alderman call her and her husband the N-word following a dispute over her dogs. But she says she's astonished the alderman actually admitted it on camera.
So I tried to chill and just, gather myself.
That's Portland Alderman Thomas Dillard on body camera video. Police are here because of his ongoing dispute with next-door neighbors Kelly Campos and her husband. Campos says she remembers what Dillard called them before police arrived.
He was like, y'all, the N-words, called us N-words twice.
Campos says she was so disturbed, she wondered if she'd heard the alderman correctly.
I was like, did he really just say that?
She had no idea that he admitted to it on camera. Listen.
Of course, I called him the N-word. I ain't gonna lie. I want him to come out that road.
The alderman.
I don't know. It makes. I mean, it's right there with the person you heard what they said. Just like I said, the one of the first reasons that personnel feel they want to use it because they say, well, black folks use it, and most of the time, numbers of American black folks saying, "Who are you talking about?" So American black man, black woman say, "Wait a minute, I don't use that word, so don't put me in that situation." But many times, numbers of American black men, black women do not do that, and so you just sit there and I just sit there and just show you what this particular person within predominant culture. Right, which is not a rarity that they use the N-word. And they know they're doing that. And they know it's a very vile, disgusting word. What did I say about the definition of the N-word? Let me repeat that word again. The N-word definition, okay, or a definition of the N-word. And you tell me if that's a term of endearment or a term of sweetness or kindness. Offensive, used as an insulting and contemptuous term for a black person. Let me repeat that again. A definition of an N-word. Offensive, used as an insulting and contemptuous term for a black person. See, think about it. When people use that disgusting deflection tactic, which supremacists loves it. They love it when people say, "Oh, well, black folks use it." As if that's supposed to be some rationalization, logical analysis, which is just an outright silly, ignorance type of deflection tactic. As I said earlier, if an American black man, black woman goes to another country, a continent, an island, and they have their own type of intra difficulties among different people within their own cultures, an American black man, black woman is not going to go there and say, for instance, to call someone a chakapa, right? Because they hear somebody else saying that to another ethnicity. That's not going to work on that. They go somewhere in Europe and say, you know, there are some intra-country conflicts or something like the intra-ethnic conflicts within certain parts of Europeans, right? The only common denominator is saying Europeans, but they have different cultures and different countries and different backgrounds. An American black man, black woman goes over and he sees some intra-ethnic fighting, and he sees someone call someone of a different culture, hey man, you taki. He said, what the heck is a taki? But the black man says it. He said, well, I don't know what that is. I mean, but I heard somebody saying that, you know, so I just said it too. Do you see the most nonsensical part of infantile response that would be? But this is the same nonsense within this country that people got to try to use that idiotic type of deflection tactic because some American blacks use it. And the thing about it, if that person within a culture wants to use that word among each other, you know, behind the doors or among them, that's neither here nor there. But to sit there and allow other people to hear that word is nonsensical because they, for some reason, in other people's minds, they think it's okay for them to sit there and use it, right? But let me just sit there and show you another person from Padana-based culture, right? From a different culture. Okay, let's keep going.
A customer captured this video as the suspect yelled racial slurs at 40-year-old Anton Patterson, who is black. It happened Sunday night outside an Elgin bar. After being asked to leave the bar, prosecutors say 28-year-old Jason Ostrigo continued to make racist remarks in the parking lot. You want to dance? We have blurred the face of the person seen in the video with Ostrigo because they are not charged with a crime. As Ostrigo goes back into the car, prosecutors say he grabbed a knife and stabbed Patterson. I talked to a man who witnessed the stabbing but did not want his face shown.
And he walks right up to Anton. Anton didn't even do anything besides there, and he comes up to him and stabs him.
Now, what did this black man do to deserve that? You hear with this other person by their last name in general. Sometimes it goes that way, sometimes it not. But that wasn't a person in general that sounded to be of a typical person's name in the Padana-based culture. I won't even waste half a breath even arguing that nonsense on that. But I have to play that again because, again, I want to be able to use these kind of things as a timepiece purpose. So then when 6 months from now, 3 months from now, like say for instance early elections that are going on right now, and then later on when full elections come up, then say for after 2022 when people are still using the N-word by other different cultures and backgrounds and however some numbers of personnel within term lifestyle categories, then what's going to be the excuse then for numbers of personnel within or what's going to be then a rationalization by number of personnel the American black culture, right? To allow people to keep using that vile word because they say, well, certain other black folks use it. And so you want to again use the same word. Talk some person that was in Padana code want to use that same vile, disgusting, monstrosity type Civil War, pre-Civil War type wording. That tells you the vileness of that person's demonic warped mindset, that numbers of personnel within the Padana-based culture, the ones who know they talking about, want to use that word. That tells a lot, doesn't it? And that needs to be checkmated and let people know that the game is known on that. Now, unfortunately, numbers of personnel within the Padana-based culture is not going to do 2 cents of a frog's tongue about doing nothing, because unfortunately, numbers of which is another thing. Well, you know what? Before I keep going, let me show that video one more time, right? Because remember, nationality is supposed to always count, right? And we're just all one people, right? Supremacists laugh when they hear that kind of nonsense. Actually, sorry about that. That was another video. I'm for one of the last type of topics on that. But let me go back to the previous one, okay?
A customer captured this video as the suspect yelled racial slurs at 40-year-old Anton Patterson, who is black. It happened Sunday night outside an Elgin bar. After being asked to leave the bar, prosecutors say 28-year-old Jason Ostrigo continued to make racist remarks in the parking lot. We have blurred the face of the person seen in the video with Ostrigo because they are not charged with a crime. As Ostrigo goes back into the car, prosecutors say he grabbed a knife and stabbed Patterson. I talked to a man who witnessed the stabbing but did not want his face shown.
And he walks right up to Anton. Anton didn't even do anything besides there, and he comes up to him and stabs him.
What's the excuse for that? That what? Some numbers of American black folks that only make up 12 to 13.5% maybe of the population, which I would think is probably not even that high because of the supremacists being the most brilliant mental manipulation force that has ever existed, have created different tactics to make sure the dynamics of demographics ascending within American black culture does not go forth. So they create all types of things and make sure to, I won't say that word. They'll make sure to sit there and just criminalize and show American black as criminal, violent, black on black crime. And they want to show numbers of black women as, just, angry black woman attitudes, right? And so then, I don't need no man. Right, then supremacist says, that's right, you don't need no black man, piss on him. That's right, you had that 1 child, 2 child, 3 children, 4, 5, you don't need no black man, forget him. Well, supremacist is brilliant, right? He brilliant. Well, that's another different topic about, numbers of American black women better wake up and see what the heck is going on. Now, numbers of them are not going to see it, and that's fine. That's fine, because with few exceptions, the ones who do know, but that's a different topic on that. But I sit there and showed you I showed you a person from a predominant-based culture, and I showed another person that could be a pseudo person within the predominant-based culture, right? But they're not. See, this is a disgusting but brilliant game. See, that's why, again, I got to use this as a timepiece purpose on these shows. I'm not just doing these shows for the heck of it. I'm doing these kind of shows because as a timepiece purpose. So again, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, a year from now, right, after the 2022 elections, right, which nothing's going to happen specifically for black folks. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Mark my words. Nothing will happen 900% for anything specific for American black folks. One of the most hated cultures have ever existed within this country. There's no other culture, ethnicity, alternative lifestyle categories which wouldn't even thought about like that several generations ago. Wouldn't even thought about. But that's a different topic in itself. Different other cultures, ethnicities that wasn't even thought about only a few generations ago. Wouldn't even thought about. And the ones that were here had so insignificant numbers, we ain't worth even talking about. But a blip of a piece of conversation, but it ain't worth even a major conversation. And how many others now, which goes to the third overall reason that the N-word is being used by others. And that includes the N-I-G-G, etc. And that includes the N-E-G-R, etc. word as well. Because it's ridiculous that numbers of American, African ancestors, Native blacks continue to keep allowing other cultures and ethnicities to sit there and just get free VIP passes to use that word. Because you have ones that's supposed to have some deep black melanation from, maybe a continent certain ones, maybe certain ones from certain parts of an islands. I'm not talking about the good ones, so I'm not going to play that game. Person can jump into a lake of piranhas when people try to play that game. Not all people from various parts of the Caribbean, not all people from various parts of the continent don't see things the same. But for some reason, you got personnel keep thinking American black man, black woman is supposed to just say they're all the same people. Right? Which is a different topic in itself, because you do have personnel that have deep melanation that also, how many of them use that N word? Don't have no clue what they're talking about, but use that N word themselves. How many personnel from some different other culture, from part of continental, some island part, who know who they are, parts of various parts, the people who know I'm talking about. When you sit there and hear some bad version of hip hop, right, and they think that is what American black culture is. Right? Bad version hip hop. Right? That's named owned by the American blacks overall, which is a different topic in itself. No one's not going to allow an American black man, black woman to go to another culture or country, be it Europe, various parts of the island, various parts of Europe, etc., make derogatory music or allow some kind of derogatory music to be talked about by people within another person's culture. They're like, you're not going to come over here and own these music conglomerates and make disturbing music about numbers of people within that other people's culture. That wouldn't be allowed. And see, that's why, again, supremacist is the most brilliant mental manipulation force that's ever existed. Because they're saying, okay, you little infantile little nigglets, make us stop doing you wrong. Because they already know that numbers of personnel within the predominant culture are just extremely reactionary, right? See, I don't go now on this show. They already know that they just have to do certain things and they'll get numbers of black folks to react. And then what happens? How many times have you heard this before? They get numbers of black folks, American black folks get reminded, and then how many say, I can't believe this is going on 5 years ago. I can't believe this 4 years ago. I can't still believe this 3 years ago. And oh my goodness, like chalkboard when people say this. Now hear this, especially numbers of personnel within the American black culture. They keep trying to add black and brown together. What nonsense is that? What does a brown person look like? There is no culture that has ever existed in history that can make up the powerful shades of blackness. From beautiful blue black to medium pretty brown skin to super high looking white to high yellow tan. No other culture on this planet can make that kind of power and shades of being born. So what does a brown person look like? So when people sit the numbers of African and Native blacks allow people to play that atrocious diluted version of saying black and brown, supremacists laugh. And then some other personnel within some other culture who know who they are, they sit back and laugh because they're not trying to sit there and do anything. You hear people talking about brown and black coalition. Let's do for the black folks. And you sure not going to hear them talking about black and yellow or yellow and black coalition. Which I want to show you something for a second, okay? Because things are not just only local, but many things are. But remember, I'm going to show you from a different other culture because numbers of the same personnel, who know they are, they arrive, numbers of personnel they know who I'm talking about, arrive within the U.S. from different other places on this planet, and they sit there and utilize this word somewhere else and come over to the country of America and go in those colleges, go on those different jobs, have those businesses, and this is still some of the way that they still think about the African ancestral Native blacks. They don't get it. And by the way, I'm not talking about sellout blacks. They can go jump into a mosquito forest because they're just like parasites. Because no other person on this planet will sit there and say some of the most heinous selloutism as known as a person within the African ancestral Native blacks. How many times you heard numbers of American black men and black women on those main shows and other places sitting there just selling out black folks left and right. You'll never hear somebody talking about some nonsense like that from different culture or ethnicity or a term lifestyle category going off in their own people. That's not even that's an extreme no, right? Against what I say, the African estimated blacks only have half a generation to 1 generation left for complete overall destruction, economically, politically, socially, because those are the basics. That's it. Especially family as well. That's almost done. It's almost done. But let me go ahead and play you this this video, okay? Let me play this video. Mm, mm, mm. He said, "What? You what? What? You want to see that again? Okay." I must say, I must show 3 times. Mm. This can't be no super clearer than what I sit there and just shown. I showed you different cultures, our backgrounds, etc., that have used the N-word. They use the N-word. So they do not care. No, the personnel from Badam-based culture and some other people from other different places. So I just wanted to show that, to show those things. And that's the third reason, right? Because when others use it from different other cultures as well, right? They're being allowed to use the N-word. And so there's actually a kind of a bonus part because it's like, again, a fourth one, okay? And that's more of saying that many use the N-word because they still have no idea, the ones who know they are, about the American black pain that's been going on for so many generations that has never stopped. So you got personnel that have some deep melanation from, it can be from some islands or be from some continent or be some from Europe, etc., etc. You get some person who has some deep melanation and still have no clue about the American black pain. Some personnel just first generations. Half generations came over here, have no idea, but how many have benefited off black pain? While that person's origin country or different place, etc., has all types of poverty. Or some type of intra-country conflict, but are allowed to come to America to benefit off black pain, but tell black folks that, hey man, pull your own self by your bootstraps. Hey man, pull your own self, pull your own cells up, get out in the water, pull your own cells up. Don't ask somebody to put the cells on for them, or for the American black. But let me show you something, because the time of the show is almost running. I'm finishing up a little bit. But I'm talking about the history. Numbers of personnel from different places just have no clue about the American black pain that they get a chance to benefit off when they get a chance to ride within the country, right? Off of the pain, black pain of black folks.
By the store in their community, they want to see it shut down for good. Last week, 56-year-old Gregory Evans stopped in the Princess Market convenience store on Raleigh Road. Once inside, his family says Evans started having a seizure and was confronted by the clerk behind the counter. Cell phone video shows what happened next. The victim's sister says Evans was hospitalized after the beating and on social media, by the store in their community, they want to see it shut down for good. Last week, 56-year-old Gregory Evans stopped in the Princess Market convenience store on Raleigh Road. Once inside, his family says Evans started having a seizure and was confronted by the clerk behind the counter. Cell phone video shows what happened next. The victim's sister says Evans was hospitalized after the beating, and on social media,
A dog will be treated better than that. A dog be treated better than that, and you best believe you better not do anything toward a dog. Woo! My goodness gracious! You're talking about all kind of laws we put upon a person that do anything like do anything toward a dog. Better not. But the racial hatred, terrorism by people just doing this crazy things, hatred-filled things to black folks, and American black folks can't get no darn. I ain't talking about sellouts. They can go to you know what, but numbers of American black folks can't even get a darn, can't get a reparations, and can't get a anti-hatred law for black folks. But they're gonna give something to what we call Asian personnel who know who they are. Protection for personnel within alternative lifestyle categories, other personnel, other immigrant groups, etc., etc., etc. Gets to have protection. But the American blacks who've been here a lot longer than many of those people can't even get a anti-hatred law to protect American blacks. That's like a gigantic earth-size slap in numbers of American black folks' faces overall, right? Even criminal statistics show that who is the number one person of who gets hatred against? Not Asians, not Hispanics, not immigrants, not alternative lifestyle categories, but black. But people get the benefit off the black pain. But still, how many people use that N-word from different other cultures? How many persons within predominant-based culture, the ones who know what I'm talking about, use the N-word, half hatred, saying that nonsense, they want critical race theory. But what does it then to show you? See, this is a nonsense, disgusting, parasitic game that many people just don't want to have. But supremacy, to be shown, but supremacy is like, well, we know numbers of personnel within predominant culture, even numbers that are black political figures are not going to do nothing to help out their own people. But they're going to help out other people, other cultures. Border break illegal immigration personnel. Oh, by the way, let me show you some again. Let me show you something on that. And these are the kind of stuff numbers of black political personnel who know what they are will also help out. But this is just interesting when these kind of things happen. Person could break border immigration laws and just get away with stuff. And numbers of black political people who know what they are will help them out. Can y'all count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, 1, 2. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I lost count on that. This stuff happens throughout the week somewhere. Things like this happen. Be it vehicles, be it border breaking immigration situations, border openings. This happens continuously. And how many of those same other personnel use the N-word themselves? Because again, see, that's why numbers of African and Native blacks, especially for the American black youth, need to learn another language and play instrument, but especially a language. It should be almost be more requirements. To me, that should be a form of reparation. Well, I can't go there. That's another different topic in itself. But I'm saying that when people can sit there and follow a chair trying to get such and such language as a second language in different schools, right? Following over chairs trying to help other people out to learn English, But at the same time, where is the Spanish as a second language? Where is the Chinese or Mandarin or Cantonese as a second language? Shh, quietness in it. Supremacists knows this. But let me sit there and I'm going to play one last thing because, again, it goes into that bonus part. When people use that N word, right? And most of them have no clue. Different cultures, ethnicities, various parts of alternative lifestyle categories. And even within that part, try to get reparations. I mean, the most nonsensical part, right? So a lifestyle, because who knows a person within predominant culture deny certain person to do certain things, but how many times it can be shown itself? This is not the show for that. You got a person within certain parts of alternative lifestyle category that have shown hatred toward numbers of American blacks. But let's not talk about that. It's like that the greatness of James Baldwin, who was part of alternative lifestyle category, but he was given what? Hatred. For the people who don't know, the great James Baldwin, just great, iconic black man. So much knowledge. And he understood, first and foremost, he was a black man first. Lifestyle second. Because he still was chased out the country, not based upon his lifestyle category. He was chased out the country because of his race and a situation of what he was doing. Trying to bring the knowledge out. But you got another person that within certain parts of lifestyle categories within a predominant culture that don't want to bring stuff up like that. And how many of those personnel within a alternative lifestyle category ain't going to all that, trying to get reparations. But American black folks can't get no reparations, even though American black folks have been in the country a lot longer than the movement of alternative lifestyle category. You see how this goes, right? But getting back to the story, the N word. So many people use this N word from different cultures, ethnicities, however parts of alternative lifestyle categories, however many people border breaking immigration personnel, how many of them use the N word themselves, right? Because how many people still don't know the powerful history, the good and the bad of the African and Native blacks? There is no comparison. There's no other comparison, no other culture, ethnicities, parts of alternative lifestyle category, etc., that has a comparison of the powerfulness of the greatness of the African ancestry history. But how many people of numbers of personnel, others, benefit off black pain and use that N word as well? I'm going to play one last video. And I want you to, for the people who don't know, because the ones who I'm going to show, they know I'm talking about. The ones who don't know, because this may be from different culture, you just don't know. There's no excuse, right? Now, if you are legitimately want to learn, that's different, but that's not the show for that. I'm just saying how many personnel benefit off black pain, right? And then, talk about how this personnel is having hatred upon them, but they don't have no idea about the American black pain that how many of them benefit off of by arriving to the country off the backs of forefathers and foremothers of black folks, right? But let me sit there and show you something here, okay? Let me sit there and show you something. One of my last videos.
Oh, I come from Alabama with my banjo on my knee. As I go to Louisiana, my true love for to see. Oh, it rained so hard the day I left. The weather, it was dry. The sun so hot I froze to death. Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. I've come from Alabama with my banjo on my knee.
Now, go ahead and show me what other culture in this country that have been showcased like that. You better sure not tell me something about Asians. Don't even think about that, because there's no such darn thing as Asian face prior to black face. So you can go somewhere with that. And you sure better not say Hispanics, because I'm going to say which Hispanics. First of all, you talking about Afro-Hispanics? I don't think so. Obviously, because most of the time, people don't even talk about Afro-Hispanic personnel, so you can play the game with somebody else. Third of all, there's no such thing as Hispanic face, so you can play that with somebody else. Because nothing predates blackface. What I sit there and showed you is of no comparison to other cultures. It's like Black History Month right now, going on right now. Who now? How many cultures and how many racial ethnic backgrounds, immigrant backgrounds have jumped on the bandwagon as however many do? They see what black folks doing, they jump on a wagon, right? Jump on a freaking wagon. And numbers of African ethnic blacks just keep allowing this stuff to continue to keep doing, and still get no reparations, right? Still get no reparations. They're getting no laws, policies specifically for black folks to have protection for them, as other different cultures, backgrounds, alternative lifestyle counties are going to have protection for them in policies. So I hope this was an interesting show. Thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show. Thank you.